So today we have a new pair of earbuds, and these are the Dime 3 by Skullcandy. We already tried the 1 and the 2s. They were pretty similar. There weren't very many changes with them, but these have a very specific change that I think is going to be very important for a couple of people. And that is, they finally included USB Type-C. Yeah, better later than never, right? Before these, Skullcandy was still actually using micro USB. Micro USB, even in 2020, was definitely outdated. But okay, now they have USB Type-C. They still have a couple of things that actually haven't changed. For example, the design is practically the same. I don't think that's a bad thing. I really like the design. They actually look like a pair of car keys, which is pretty interesting. They're very, very compact. They're pretty small. I mean, look at these little bad boys. Pretty small. Not even the camera can focus them. There you go. That's how small they are. And yeah, you can probably lose them. They also have an application called Tile in case this happens, where you can find them. The applications from Skullcandy, like Skullcandy IQ and Skullcandy headphones, are not compatible with these, which is actually a miss by Skullcandy. I think if they would have included the application, these would have had a killer value, especially for what they cost. Now, what other specs do they have? Well, they have IPX4, which means they're sweat and splash resistant. You cannot submerge these. I wouldn't even use them under the rain. I would just use them for maybe exercising. And talking about exercise, I actually used them at the gym and had no issues because the design of the earbuds themselves changed a little bit, but slightly enough to make them a little bit more firm. They're completely diagonal, so they go into your ear canal, and I don't think you'll be able to loosen them up. They're one of the most firm earbuds I've tried this year, and I think they do a great job, especially if you want to use them for running, jumping, or any type of exercise where you're moving a lot. But there's something that's actually the best thing these earbuds have. These actually give you 8 hours of continuous playing with one charge. That is a lot considering the size. And actually, after a couple of tests, they don't give you 8 hours of continuous playing if you have the volume at 50% or more. Depending on how much you use the volume, that's how much battery life you're actually going to get. 50% gave us about 7 hours. If you go a little bit higher from that, you'll probably get between 6 and 6.5. Again, I don't think that's bad, especially for the size. But something they don't have, and I actually do think that's also a miss by Skullcandy, is ANC. A lot of earbuds nowadays have the standard of minimum ANC. It doesn't have to be the strongest, the most intelligent, most sophisticated, but at least they have it. These have transparency mode, which means they are using the microphones for exterior purposes, but they're not using it to block out the sound. I think just a teeny weensy more development would have made these incredible. If you would have gotten ANC with these probably would have been a great companion for a lot of travelers, but they don't have ANC. By the way, you also get 20 hours total with the charging case. So again, for the size, I think the battery life is the best thing these earbuds have. Now, what's the deal with the sound? The most important thing in a pair of earbuds? Well, these actually have not such a good sound. They're pretty cheap. I'm going to tell you the price in a few moments. But for what you're paying, you get decent vocals. I won't even say they're good. They're just barely usable. You have decent mids as well. And the strongest point in these earbuds is the bass. Although it's not that punchy, clean bass. It's a little bit open, too wide for my liking. And I think they're barely usable. And considering you can't even equalize them with a Skullcandy app, that's what you're stuck with. So if you want a pair for maybe like the gym, or you're listening to something that gives you that punch, that hip hop, that electronic, whatever you want, or even reggaeton if that's what you listen to, these might do a decent job for you. But if you want something a little bit more clear, a little bit more analytical, these are not the pair. You might be better off looking at something from Realme or maybe even SoundPeats. And again, I think sound quality wise, these are actually barely usable. Now, how much are you paying for these bad boys? Well, you're paying about 40 bucks. For 40 bucks, you're getting a killer battery life, especially for the size, a very nice design. They're actually quite comfortable to use for a couple of hours. You can exercise with them. You can probably use them on public transportation, have no issues. The passive isolation is actually pretty good, even though they don't have ANC, but they do have transparency mode. The clicky buttons are actually quite decent in case you want to change song, pause, or any other thing you want to do with them. But you can't personalize them. You can't use an application. You can use Tile, which I think would be the last thing I would add in a pair of earbuds before adding a full-blown application where you maybe can update the firmware or even equalize them, but that's what you stuck with. So 40 bucks. I think they're decent, but what will you do? Would you buy them? Are you not interested? Are you a fan of Skullcandy? I know quite a few people that actually just love the brand for it being Skullcandy. If you're new around here, well, first of all, remember we're a tech channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and also check out these earbuds, which I think are way better than these.